Yes, yes. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Hello.
gosh. Hello.
Hi.
New faces. I'm seeing new faces. I'm seeing new students, Venus, which we saw yesterday.
Oh
Before
my
we get
goodness.
started, just so we can get a feel for where everybody's at, would you drop in the chat and let us know? And it's kind of our normal thing, where you're at in the world, where you're at in your cannabis journey. So are you a Cannabis Institute student already? Are you from Instagram? Like, where'd you come from? Where are you at in your cannabis journey? Are you brand new to the plant? I'm so excited that all of you are here. I was like, Andrew's been so psyched about this call for days. And I'm like, it's the boring rescheduling call. She's like, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. Okay, go ahead.
We're going to dive right in. So, if you are a current student of the Cannabis Institute, you'll notice that there are a lot of new friendly faces on the call. And that's because we invited some people from our email list to come and find out about rescheduling and what it's going to mean for us as people who really care about the plant and want to help others feel better with it. Yeah, welcome to everybody who's new. And for everybody who's new, this is our regular student call at the Cannabis Institute. We get together once a month and we do many different things on these calls, but one of the things that we do is a little workshop or a talk on something so that everybody can get kind of caught up to date. So welcome. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Canadian, and when I found out that it was going to be rescheduled, I actually went and looked at 5 different sources because I've heard this so many times. Things are happening in the States with cannabis. Um, and it actually really does affect the international audience, what happens for you. And as I dove deeper into this topic, I was thinking about all the possibilities actually for us as specifically cannabis coaches and educators. But again, for anybody who's out there helping people understand this plant better, what is this going to mean for us? We're also going to talk about what it means for patients and what it means for business. And then we'll have time for a Q&A at the end. All right, so let's dive right in. What is rescheduling? What does this mean? So currently right now, and and I don't ever use this word. We use the word cannabis all the time, but marijuana is what is the differentiation that we're going to talk about today, meaning that this is high THC cannabis. We know that hemp and cannabis and marijuana and all that, we know that that's the cannabis plant. For today's purposes, I'm going to use the word marijuana because this is the way that it's going to make sense for many of the people who you're talking to. So, just to keep ourselves kind of not making things too complicated for people. So, right now, high THC cannabis or marijuana is considered a Schedule 1 drug, which means it's as addictive as heroin and many other addictive drugs, and it has no medicinal value, which is patently ridiculous. And so this is considered Schedule 1, and this has meant a whole bunch of roadblocks in lots of ways that might be lifted if this goes through. If this does go through, cannabis will move to a Schedule 3 status, which means, according to the US government, that it has a moderate to low potential for addiction. And dun, da, 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 I'm going to say it like 80 times that the US government is saying that this has currently accepted medical value. Well, isn't that wonderful? That we're getting that from the same place that, is 6 months ago was telling us that had no medicinal value. Okay, how did we get here? Obviously, the timeline starts way before 1970, but marijuana became a Schedule 1 drug in 1970 under Nixon's presidency. And that put it on this category saying, yo, super addictive and nothing helps with nothing. Immediately, groups try to get it rescheduled, and grassroots organizations have been trying to get this rescheduling off the ground for 55 years now. And in 2022, it was actually Biden who started this administrative process in order to get cannabis or marijuana rescheduled under federal law. Last year, maybe December, Trump signs an executive order saying, let's fast track this process. And possibly in 2026, we're going to again have the US government say that it has medicinal benefits. Thank you. And also, immediately, groups are trying to get it to stay Schedule 1. There's, I can't remember which group it was, but they are going to sue. They're going to sue if this goes through because obviously cannabis will ruin everybody if it gets rescheduled or something. I'm not sure what their basis is. Okay. Importantly, though, This is not going to make cannabis legal. This does not legalize cannabis anywhere yet. Um, and even when it does happen, if it does, it also doesn't make cannabis legal. So I just want us to be super clear that this is probably coming down the line for Americans in the next year or so, that this is going to be like into law. But right now, this is all just a future possibility. And again, this is not going to make cannabis legal. This isn't what we wanted. That isn't what I wanted, but it's all we have right now. And maybe it's a step in the right direction. Let's talk about what it's going to mean for the states. What is rescheduling going to mean? A bunch of things. And this also trickles down to what this means for us as cannabis educators and coaches. Again, because we have this federal validation of medical use, this will help with the stigma. It actually will, because of the American government's wide reach. Many other countries' governments have instituted programs for decades now, teaching all of the kids about how awful this plant is, right? Having this medical use, we recognize there's medical use, and that's why we're rescheduling it. Will, I believe, over time help to diminish the stigma significantly. Importantly, this is gonna be a green light for research into the plant, because we'll get into this in just a second, but because researchers don't need to fill out a bunch of special forms, they don't need all these high security vaults, they don't need to buy cannabis from a specific place, the quality and the amount of research is gonna go up, and it's much more institutionally friendly to study cannabis. They're not worried about grants being taken away, etcetera. There's a big tax implication that currently you're not allowed to deduct regular business expenses. And because it's being rescheduled, businesses will be able to have regular deductions for things like every other business. Previously, they couldn't do that because they were trafficking a Schedule 1 substance. And already in place are programs to begin to explore insuring medical cannabis patients. Um, and we'll talk about that in just a second as well. Unfortunately for patients, this isn't really a win necessarily. Rescheduling is not going to legalize, like we talked about, it's not going to legalize medical cannabis so that they can purchase their medicine without the fear of still somebody coming, to get them. It doesn't protect patients from discrimination. Although it's possible cannabis is not currently integrated into Medicare or into the VA programs, et cetera, and it doesn't create full prescription coverage yet. And we are also not at the place where every state has medical cannabis coverage. Most do. I don't know what the number is now, Corinne, but like most do. We're getting there. But um, and we're going to talk about the hemp rule at the end, but there is also a rule coming down in the hemp market that is going to drastically impact millions of patients who have been relying on full spectrum cannabis medicine to manage various conditions, even in places where marijuana or high THC cannabis isn't allowed. And they have been told, yeah, like this is legal, this is safe. And all this time, those businesses have been operating in a loophole. And that loophole is changing. That deadline is coming on November of this year, unless drastic action is taken. And so patients are kind of, you know, this rescheduling didn't help. And the changes to the hemp bill are harmful for them. Okay, what's it mean for us on the call who do this kind of work for a living? Um, I think so much. That's why I'm so excited about this call. I also couldn't believe that I was going to be excited about this. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't sound that fun to talk about, but this could mean a lot for us, specifically for us who are concerned about the health and wellness benefits of cannabis. This is hopefully going to open up an actual explosion into the type of cannabis that you and I are consuming, not the stuff that we have been studying or American researchers have been studying for 50 years, which is drastically different. And according to one market research corporation, Nielsen Marketing, we're going to have access to about 5 times the amount of people who are going to be coming into the cannabis market needing information on this plant. And we need to be there ready for them. And because of that tech code shift, businesses are going to potentially have more money to invest in services like education and support for their clients. So this could mean a lot for us. So let's dive into that a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Banking, insurance, marketing, like these are huge hurdles that we have to overcome in the cannabis industry, and this rescheduling can help it all. Let's talk about research for a second. This executive order that Trump just signed tells the Human and Health Services and a bunch of other agencies that they need to actually start studying real world evidence in order to make recommendations on cannabis. They haven't been studying real world cannabis. They have been studying the stuff that gets sent to them from NIDA, the National Institute for Drug Administration. And that stuff is grown. It's like a joke. It's a joke in the cannabis world that that's how we make predictions on how this plant will work in the body because the plants that are grown are really weak. Like we're talking like 3 or 4% THC. They sometimes have some rare cannabinoids, but it's not representative of what you can walk into a dispensary and purchase or what you can grow in your backyard. So this is really important that they're saying to HHS, you must study what's happening out there in the world. And hopefully that is going to mean that they're going to be able to study full spectrum medicine. And again, these research institutions and schools that have been worried about grant funding being taken away or the professional stigma or the hoops they would have to jump through to study a Schedule One substance, those are all significantly lowered. So we are going to see a lot of people who have been wanting to study something in this space and haven't been able to. And this is literally their green light to be able to do so. And we're going to get more double blind, placebo controlled trials, which are the gold standard. The United States is great at producing this kind of trial in abundance because they have so many researchers. And we haven't had this. So that's really exciting for those of us who want to know, like, hey, what does the research really, really, really say about this? And when I was reading about this, I was like, oh my God, I know in every single condition I look up, when I look at which country produced the study, the US constantly, huge amounts of studies compared to other countries like Canada, Israel, other places that you would think would have robust cannabis research funding and studies. And that's kind of like a double edged sword here. So, yeah, about 55% of all studies done in cannabis are conducted in the United States. But if we break that down to a per capita basis, the states are about at a 1.6 trials per million people. Compared that to Canada, we're at almost 2 per million people. And Israel, like they're kicking all of our butts, right? Like look at them, they're at 7.5 trials per million people. So yes, the United States produces a lot of research, but there's a lot more for them to grow in this area. And here's the kicker is that most of the studies that are still approved right now to this day are studies that will prove that cannabis is the devil's lettuce, evil for us, terrible, et cetera. Like that is the way to get funding for many researchers is to say, I'm going to show how this plant is really bad for your heart, brain, whatever it is. Ironically, how we have a really great idea of the safety profile of cannabis is because we have tried to find all these terrible things that are going to happen. And we now know what are the side effects of consuming too much THC. There's real side effects there, but we also know kind of the limits of how far we can take this plant, which is pretty far because it's a safe plant. So, just to recap, we're not going to be studying this terrible cannabis that we have been for so long, possibly huge access to institutional funding. And interestingly, there's a pathway now for cannabis companies who would like to produce full spectrum, maybe multi herb blends to put out onto the market. There's a pathway now for them to put that product through the FDA before it was only going to be allowed, before it was only allowed that single molecule drugs, cannabis drugs, could be put through the FDA. But because of this change in schedule, now we're going to hopefully see products on the market, on the shelf that have FDA approval that have multi-cannabinoid or cannabis terpenes, et cetera, in it. So that's that's super exciting for research, for patients, for us, et cetera. Okay, here's the study that I was talking about from Nielsen Research. They predict a 500% increase in cannabis users. A lot of the reason that the people that they polled said that they were not currently cannabis users, even in states where it is statewide legal, was the federal illegality of it. People understand that this is a dangerous drug because it's on the schedule. And Nielsen believes that there's going to be a huge, right, 500% increase in the amount of people who are coming into the market who are now, because the stigma is lowered, because the schedule is lowered, are now interested in trying this. Corinne was talking recently about this stat about how currently about 17% of the people who use cannabis in general are trying that for medical conditions, and the other 87 or 83% are using it for recreational use. And she's really curious about what will happen when that flip, that so many people understand again that cannabis is a beautiful plant medicine once this schedule change happens. And then this, I didn't think about one of these, which I couldn't believe. Okay, this is the tax code, right? Now, because of the tax code, cannabis businesses are going to have more money in order to reinvest in a business. This is not going to open up access to, traditional banking within a year, but the perceived lower risk of the federal government coming down on the banking institutions will help soften some of the regulations and will open up more standard banking options for American businesses and insurance. And this one's huge. Finding insurance in this particular niche when you're advising on or talking about this highly dangerous addictive substance was really hard. And already insurance companies are starting to put riders into their policies about things like cannabis wellness retreats, cannabis events, etc., because they're not going to have this big, like, kind of hurdle themselves of the American government coming down and saying you can't insure for this very illegal substance. And then marketing. I said this before, I'm Canadian. Here, it's legal, but for the longest time, it was very hard to advertise on any platform because they're all American based. And so all of their rules had to pay attention to the fact that this was a federally illegal substance. And so even though I was trying to tell fellow Canadians about my upcoming workshop, I couldn't on platforms like Instagram or Facebook. And this will change, is the consensus. We don't have a crystal ball, but again, this huge overriding threat of the federal government coming down on these tech companies, they weren't willing to play with that. And so they all have their own policies that restrict talking about cannabis use in varying capacities. And it is already starting to lighten up. And already we've seen that some media outlets are starting to target wellness people who understand cannabis because they know that this huge onslaught of people is going to be coming into the market. Same thing with book publishers. I was reading about how book publishers are already putting out calls to have cannabis wellness experts submit proposals because they know there's going to be this huge onslaught of people who are like, oh my gosh, I should really try cannabis for my pain or depression, etc. Okay, so for us, this is huge, I think. Fivefold increase in American consumers, more money. Cannabis businesses are going to have more money to do with what they want. And many of those businesses will invest in education and support because it's so lacking and everybody sees that.
Andrew,
Yeah.
can I interject a couple of things? Because
Yeah.
there are a couple of things that I think are a little bit confusing right
Oh,
now that just popped in my head.
okay,
Just
go.
just because what we do as cannabis coaches and educators and other professionals who work in the wellness space, yoga teachers, meditation teachers, it's not treated the same way as like a brick and mortar plant touching cannabis business. And so when you're talking about 280E, this is something that we haven't been impacted by. So we've been able to deduct our business expenses as health coaches and, much more like a health coaching business. Yeah. So that hasn't been a barrier for us. And I just wanted to say, based on my own experience, I've been testing now for over a year. I'm working into advertising, and there are some platforms that are definitely friendlier already and are becoming more friendly over time. Like I used to get my ads all rejected, and now it's like, it's good. I mean, I haven't had an ad rejected in a while. So I will say that some of those changes are already occurring. And I just want to just make that clear for those of you, especially if you're new students, and you're like, wait a second, I'm not going to be able to deduct my printer costs. No, you like we're still treated like a regular coaching business. Again, we're not tax professionals,
No,
but
we're
yes.
definitely not tax professionals. All right. What about us who don't live in the States? The United States has kind of insisted that other countries around the world adopt their anti cannabis policy since the 1970s. And this walking back themselves will allow other countries to do what they want to do without the fear of American retaliation. I know when Canada was considering uh, legalizing cannabis, it actually was a big concern for us back then. Like, how would this impact our relations with our American neighbors because it was still so anti-cannabis down south? Already there's been a study out of Europe that talked to many different European cannabis business owners, and many of them, over half, say this is going to have a significant impact on their business and on European legislation. So that's huge. Um, so is this happening? It is probably happening. We're not there yet. It's not law yet, but this does have support from both kinds of presidents. They both supported this because the Department of Health and Human Services is saying this has acceptable medical use. The DEA must kind of allow this to go through. It is pretty sure that this is going through. There is a possibility that one of these groups that's already fighting against this might be able to get like a federal judge to slow it down. There is a public input period coming. It is possible that this gets slowed down or stopped. It's not likely. I don't believe, based on what I have read. Okay. We just learned about what is going to happen with high THC cannabis. And by high, I mean over 0.3%. Um, in the United States, probably within a year-ish. Estimates are that within a year or maybe into 2027, we're going to start to see some of this be put into place. But what about hemp? Totally separate law change happening at the same time in the same country that really impacts us and patients. Again, this is due to come in November if nothing changes. And this is going to effectively eliminate hemp, not all hemp products, but a lot of hemp products who have been operating in this loophole of putting other cannabis compounds into their products, including THCA. But because it's not THC, just that molecule, they're falling in this legal loophole and they're closing the loophole. Like they know it's available. I think 48 attorney generals across the country were like, please, for the love of God, like we've got to close this loophole because they're so sick of this battle of is this legal or it's not. But again, this is going to eliminate a lot of hemp products that people have come to rely on as a support for their medical conditions for years now. Yeah, they're going to be left high and dry. And interestingly, for it to be considered part of the hemp market, it has to have a super low amount of total THC. So this isn't just THC, but we're talking about THCA and any other cannabinoids or whatever they can put in there. This doesn't matter how big your package is, etc. This is 0.4% total THC. So it really is making sure that there's not a lick of THC in there. This also bans synthetic cannabinoids. Can we all fucking cheer? I'm cheering. I'm fucking cheering. Thank you. Thank you for banning cannabinoids. I know some people love them. I wish you just had access to the real, actual plant medicine.
And when you say cannabinoids, for those of you who aren't our students, that's the loving cute term that we use for things like Delta 8, all of the synthetic and CBD derived cannabinoids that are put through a conversion process to turn into these. The processes are terrible. We have a whole podcast about this if you want to learn a little more about how those are made.
Just made me so happy. It also restricts seed selling. So again, they are trying to really make sure that the hemp market is completely separate from the cannabis market in the way that they've delineated it. All right, moving forward, if you have clients who are already using these hemp-based medications, make sure that they stock up because we don't know, companies will stop producing this as we get closer and closer to the November deadline. Excitingly for us, we can expect standardized labels on cannabis products in the States where your clients and everybody can look at a product and hopefully get things like detailed terpene profiles, standard serving sizes, safety warnings, QR codes with all the testing results. So that's wonderful for people who are really looking to see what's in their medicine. Further down the line, possibly even more standard dosing protocols, which is super important for doctors who are doing that work. All right. For Americans on the call, the Americans for Safe Access organization would like your help. They are trying to ensure that specifically the hemp law coming through gets modified so that patients still have access. They have a whole bunch of information on their website. And if you want to get involved, you definitely should because they need to hear from you. And that's it. I'm going to put the link for ASA in the chat right now. And then we have lots of time for some Q&A about rescheduling. And then we will move for the rest of the time to our student call. And everybody's welcome to stick around for that. But we'll make sure that we have time for our students to get any questions answered.
Oh,
All
awesome. We're getting some questions coming in. Thank you so much, Andrea. I just want to point out as soon as you said 5 times the amount, I went a little like, ugh. Because for those of you who just found this through Instagram, I just recently had a big growth spurt on Instagram and our main box is full, right? It's like I was showing Andrea before we got in here. I was like, there are 803 people asking questions about this plant, saying they want to change their relationship to it, saying they're just getting started, I mean, like, running the gamut, and the idea that, like, this gap is already so big and it's gonna get 5 times bigger was a little like, "Ooh, okay." Obviously, there are a ton of changes going on, and our voices matter. The education to our communities really matters right now. People were already confused, right? And when we started doing this 8 years ago, we thought, "Oh, okay, well, we'll keep teaching people. It's gonna get simpler over time." But we've seen these cannabinoids. We've seen the hemp industry turn into what it did. We've seen these shifts, and people are only left feeling more confused, and more of them are seeking information, right? More of them are looking at this plant like, "Oh, I've heard it could help with this thing." And I ask my doctor, and they say, "Go see the bud tender." And then I go to the bud tender, and they say, "Smoke this strain of whatever," or like, "Here are 3 different products that you can try," or you leave spending $500 and you still have no idea what's going on. And that problem has not gone away, right? That gap is still here, alive and well. I'm seeing it like I'm sleepy, guys. I'm sleepy because it's I feel a lot, and I'm like sending little voice notes to people and doing what I can. Like, please, please, please go talk to somebody about cannabis today. Share what you know, and and I really feel like it's really needed right now, and I need to take a nap.
You need to take a nap. And if you want to join us, we are enrolling right now. I'm going to put the link in the chat. We teach you all about the health and wellness benefits of cannabis and how to share that information with other people. And we show you how to turn that into a cannabis coach and education career so that you can continue helping all these people and you can get sleepy like Corinne because you're like, oh, I have to tell you about HHC.
I love this. Okay, so Bethany asks, if push comes to shove, what about baby clones to purchase so you can get them delivered and grow your own plant medicine? They forgot to mention baby clones as being part of the new verbiage. You know what I love? Just looking for a new loophole. You guys are just the best. You're like, is there another way we can get this medicine out there since you guys are trying to close up our access again? Oh, you're trying to close up our access? Well, we're going to pop it up over here. Oh, try again? Okay, well, let's do this. I love that. There's a lot of talk right now about non-compliance as well. A lot of these cannabis companies, they've already pushed it back, right, when they're gonna implement this law, and they have lawyers too. Everybody's lawyering up. 15% of Americans right now are using a hemp-derived product, right, on a regular basis, and somewhere around there, and that's just, like, to me, it's so devastating because if it's impacted your life, you know how helpful it is. If you worked with other people, it's impacted their lives. Some of you I know own CBD businesses, like, you see day in and day out, like, how powerful and effective, especially some of those molecules, CBD, CBG, right? We don't even need to talk about THC right now. We can talk about it in a minute. But like when you know how impactful they are on people's lives and just seeing that the attempt to shrink that access is happening, it's devastating, to those folks. And it's unjust and it's bullshit. And hopefully we can continue to push back because pushed hard enough, and there's obviously enough support. And I mean, luckily for us, the hemp industry got huge before this happened, so at least there's enough. enough pushback there, and they have the resources. I mean, it's like a multi-billion dollar industry in the United States alone currently. So hopefully they'll throw some of that around and we'll be able to make a change. It was because it was so sneaky the way it was done. For those of you who weren't paying attention then, I mean, it was when government shutdown was happening and everybody's like, please just end this. And like, okay. But sneaky little Mitch McConnell is just like, "Oh, while we end this government shutdown, we're also gonna close hemp. We're just gonna shut hemp." And it was like such a dirty little move. So, everybody scrambled a little bit, but I think we're all getting our footing, and I think those companies are gonna come back strong. And I think this gives us an opportunity to use these kinds of topics and be teaching about, what's potentially happening. Sometimes when people get fired up, they're like, they can't take that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna do that now, Like, I think there's, like, an energy behind it, that can be helpful in reaching people in new ways and talking about it in new ways. But I'm always like that. I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna do that thing? Well, we're gonna talk smack about it in a way that's also gonna educate people about another aspect of whatever's happening right now." Okay, what else do we got? Oh, this one's for you, Andrea. Is THCA considered a franking cannabinoid?
No, I was just reading that too. I hope I didn't say that. So the THCA loophole is that cannabis companies figured out that the restriction is on THC. But if they sell you cannabis flower, it's not THC yet. It's not THC until you light it and consume it or heat it up and bake it into something. Might have a little bit of THC that's converted already, but most of it's THCA, which is a different molecule. That's what I mean about THCA slipping in with the hemp loopholes there. Um, yeah, endlessly inventive. Humans are endlessly inventive. We're already trying to find loopholes for the new thing, like we'll keep going.
So this question is really interesting because then we can dig in a little bit, but I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. So Jeremy asked, does the new hemp legislation contradict the rescheduling, or is the rescheduling only traditional old school cannabis? So we're talking about hemp and cannabis. It's just a legal term, right? It's 0.3% THC and above. That's old school cannabis. Anything below that is considered hemp, right? And just THC, like we just said, THCA does not count into that. So the new hemp legislation doesn't contradict the rescheduling because they're technically talking about two different things, even though they're the same plant. It's such shenanigans, you guys. It's such shenanigans, but they're the same plant. They've decided the story of like how they came up with the 0.3% is also just so silly. But they decided one day that this was going to be what it is. This is hemp and it's okay, and this is cannabis and it's not. And so now they're closing up the hemp loophole and opening up this pharmaceutical pathway for cannabis. And, you know, take from that what you will, draw your own conclusions there. Pretty interesting timing. It doesn't impact the hemp legislation. Doesn't contradict. It feels like it goes kind of in alignment with that. Like, we're going to close it up and then we're going to control it over here. But I didn't say that. You guys can draw your own conclusions. Maria asks a question I'm super thrilled about, which is what can one share legally on social media in the US? I really want to integrate Mama Mary in my work and been so hesitant to share it publicly. Okay, so there are a couple of things on this. The first thing is what you can and cannot say is a big topic, right? In order to do this work as a cannabis coach and a public educator legally and ethically, there are a set of guidelines and a set of rules. There's also um, for us, and our values, like we really want to make sure that before you go out and share that you really know your stuff. So doing like as much research as possible, going all the way down the rabbit hole. We do that for you at the Institute if you want to join us there. But like knowing it inside out, having real world experience, talking about it before you start sharing on bigger platforms like that and spreading potentially misinformation. I've done it, right? I've accidentally shared misinformation. Many of us have done it, especially if you were like part of the first wave of this whole thing and there wasn't as much research. And I wouldn't recommend it because then afterwards you're like kicking yourself. Like, and you're like, "Ah, dang it. I shared that with a bunch of people." So knowing your stuff is number one. Knowing what you can and cannot say, in order to not be giving a medical recommendation, right? That's easy to slip into sometimes when we're talking about this, or not making any claims, any medical claims, right? That this is going to cure something, or even that it saying outright in certain ways that it helps with certain things. So there's definitely there are guidelines to that. It takes practice, and that's like a whole lesson. The other piece is the social media aspect, which up until fairly recently, I would have said, do not go on social media and share this. Do not do that. They're shutting people down and there are all these shadow bans and all these things. And recently that has shifted, right? It was kind of you started hearing it bubbling up that the policies were changing, and I was like, well, let's see how it goes. And I've found it to be an incredible platform to share this on. People are very receptive. There is a dearth of information, this kind of information out on that platform. It's fun to share this stuff in 3 minutes or less. Like if you like to talk about it, it's a fun way to connect with people. You really are getting instant feedback and questions, and it's like so. I love it that it's super communal and yes, there is a possibility that your stuff can be shut down and shadow banned and all of those things. And so, what I'm going to be teaching you in the program this time specifically, if you join with this cohort, we're going to have a live call, a full workshop where we walk you through types of content that I've seen that are working, ways that we've been able to monetize, ways to get people off of that platform and onto your list so that you can keep educating, even if something were to happen to your account. Right. So, thinking about it in the way of like, hey, this is an amazing way to reach lots of people, but not being totally reliant on it for your entire business, is what I would really love to share with you all. And in a very short amount of time, I've been again super blessed to have had to figure out some things that worked. I hustled my butt off to try to figure out that platform. For those of you who have like known me for a long time, I like to like just figure out a thing and then like get that to work. And I'm like, okay, got that. But I'm pretty obsessed with this one because it's the access to people and how fun it is to use and how I want to say it's like a desert. Like people like really want like heart-centered, nonprofit driven information about this plant that resonates with them truly deeply. Like and when you're tapped into what you're passionate about, whatever that might be, because this plant is so diverse that you can work with it in so many different ways. And we've seen that over and over again with over 700 students that have come through this program when you add your special sauce to that and you're plugged into your heart and you know your shit, like the people are like, "Oh my gosh, oh thank you," and it becomes super fun. And I really want to share that with all of you. So, graduates, students, you can expect that call very soon. Preparing that right now, doing some more testing on things that work and things that don't work. And I'm stoked. I'm stoked about that piece. So that's what I will say about cannabis on social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody asked when we're going to have it soon inside. Come join us. Um, and I think it was Doug asked how long the class is. Most people finish the class in about 3 months, but you have 6 full months to get your certification requirements in, if that's the path that you take. Any more questions?
Can we tell you about something else though before we go? We do have a make your money back guarantee, which is that we will continue to work with you until you get a return on investment from your work here. Our goal is to for you to make your money back and then some. And one of the reasons that that's our goal is that we know that that equates to more people getting support with this plant. And so if you get to the end of that support period and you're like, I still haven't made my money back, I want to, you know, focus up on workshops or doing whatever, we're going to be here to support you with that. Because, yeah, we care. And we really want you to be successful. We're as invested in your success as you are.
This plant needs you. I
This
keep on
might
saying
need
it. This
you.
plant needs you.
I'm
Please be
tired.
out there freaking talking about it, telling people about how amazing it is. And
And
yeah,
I love having our students to refer to. I will say this too about being on Instagram so much lately is like when people ask me a question, I go, "Oh, you have a question about menopause? Kim Sarson's wrote a book on menopause and cannabis. Go talk to Kim. Oh, you want to like readjust your relationship with cannabis? Jabria Kraft, she is like known for that. Oh, you have someone in your life has cancer. Go talk to JJ. Like it is so like whatever it is that you're. Oh, PJ working with families of kids with autism, right? Like I mean, there's so many different facets of people who need help with this plant. And if it's helped you in some way, usually it's because like there's something that you dealt with or healed from or use it as medicine for. And that's a great starting place. And sometimes you just get like, you're like, oh, all these people are asking me for help with this thing. And I'm gonna do that. And we just need more folks because you know, these niches gotta get filled. Awesome. All right. Should we stay on with students? You guys are all welcome to stand. Do students have any? You guys have questions,
yeah.
celebrations?
At the Cannabis Institute, we celebrate. We get together every month and we celebrate first. And this time we're celebrating last.
I have finished all of the modules and I have taken all the tests and I passed. So I'm just finishing up. I've changed my final project. I should be ready to go by end of February. So yay!
fucking proud of you. So fucking
Oh,
that's such a huge celebration.
thanks.
Simone, we're starting on February 1st. We have this like track record of amazing February cohorts. We're not sure why, but every single February group of students that we've had since 2018 have been amazing. So February seems to be the time for lots of people. Um, yeah, we'd love to see you.
I'm sure why. It's like not nice out and there's not a whole lot going on. So you can dedicate yourself to your studies. We had 3 grads from February 2023 come on to grad call yesterday. And they've all done like incredible things since graduation. And there is just something about it. It's like there's something about the timing of February. We always know it's going to be like wild. Gonna be good stuff. Plus, we have new stuff coming up, right? We're doing calls like this, where we're covering stuff a little bit more in a structured way, right? We're doing some more teaching during live calls during this cohort that we're really excited to share with you. Some updated stuff, some tools that you can use on your business, some information that I know will get you fired up to go out and start sharing with people. So we're stoked. Amy and
Amazing.
Nina have their hands up. You guys want to share?
What I'm doing recently. So Jennifer was my practicum partner at Cannabis Coaching Institute. So we worked together and we just sort of fell in love with working together. And we sort of did some podcasty stuff and we've done some online course stuff together. And we've just continued to build this relationship. And our most recent thing is sacrament. So think of psychedelic and sacrament, put them together to sacrament. And she came to CCI with a lot of other entheogenic knowledge. So ayahuasca and psilocybin and all of these other beautiful plant medicines. So we're sort of putting all of that together. And she has asked me to head up the cannabis portion of that. So we're going to be doing monthly circles, so for people to just join in and we'll have like seasonal themes and, moon, whatever things that are happening and sort of bring that in to the cannabis circle. We'll also be doing, we've got right now we just finished recording our microdosing with cannabis for health and wellness course that is going to live online. It's really exciting. There's too much to talk about, but we have stuff going if you're interested. Sacrament.com. It's going to be fantastic. So follow along and join us. But that's my big whoop.
That's a big move.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, Venus.
Hi there. I have a question for Miss Erica and Miss Amy. I am starting the new cohort in February, which I'm super excited about. Do y'all have any suggestions, um, things that you wished you would have done differently when you started class? Whatever. I am open to suggestions. I have a medical field background and I hate big pharma and I want to work with this natural plant. So, um, I'm just looking to see if you could give us some guidance, possibly, since you've already been down this road. So I appreciate it. And congratulations to both of you ladies and to everybody else who's already completed the course.
Thank you. I'll just budge in real quick and say, make as many connections as possible, talk to people, connect with people, and do as much as possible. Just get involved, get active, do a little bit more than you think that you can. Do as much as you can and then do a little bit more because honestly, it will serve you so, so well. The relationships that you foster here are going to be everything. That's what it was for me. So I would say the education is fantastic. Getting past all of the barriers that I had with some of like the mindset stuff was so, so helpful. All of the stuff with like how to build a business and start an LLC, that was fantastic. Those were great stepping stones. But what was really like, you know, that like the launching pad, I think for me was the connections. So I would say start there.
I would suggest too, and that was great advice, Amy, but one thing I did not do right from the beginning, it probably would have helped me tremendously if I would have taken more time to micro schedule myself. Yeah. When they drill that home on the first week, it really it makes a difference. Wish I would have taken that advice. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate that.
It's honestly the only productivity or whatever time management hack that ever worked for me. I shared it with students. Students have had like great results with it, but it's kind of become like a cult classic kind of thing, like where you're like, all these years later, somebody will be like, you know what's really helpful about that cannabis course I took? That calendar thing we learned. And you're like, okay, here it is again. It's so funny. It's also so funny because those two things always come up, right? The mindset and the calendar piece. There are things that I would not still be here 13 years in if I wouldn't have focused on those things. And so, I know you didn't ask me, but my guidance is also to lean on the mindset work. Every student that we see is still in the game years later, because it's work, right? Like you're just developing a business. There are challenges that come up, ones that we could never guess, never plan for, never train you for, right? Like the resiliency to get through that and to learn from it and to fail your way upwards is all in the mindset. So I think those two things together, being good with your time and like honoring your own time and creating a vision for your week that you're like, I can't wait to step into this is huge. And then also that other piece of like, what am I saying to myself? Who am I being? Right? Where is my critter brain firing off? How can I relate to myself differently, my parts differently? Like that's huge. And we don't think about it when you're like, I want to tell people nerdy stuff about cannabis and I want to help people. It's like there's so much internal work that goes on with this. And luckily we have this beautiful plant medicine that helps us go in, that helps shine the light on those things. It helps us do it compassionately in a way that not only does it help us, but like it helps others more deeply. So um those two things are clutch that you wouldn't think of when you're going to weed school.
Thank y'all so much. Greatly appreciate it.
I'm so excited. So excited to see what you create, Nina. All right, everybody, we're going to let you go. We're a little bit
Yeah.
over today. We will be, for those of you who are students, we'll meet you next month. For those of you who are new students, we will see you next month as well. We'll see you inside the class and inside the group. Let us know if you have any questions. Again, we start February 1st. You want to be inside class. It's the rocket ship. If you want to get on the rocket ship, now's the time. And it'll be really cool too, because there's some cool things that we're building into this. I don't want to say too much, but there's some cool things just building into. All right, everybody. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for being here. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for being part of the community. Please go out and share something about cannabis and how awesome and healthy, kick-ass, and how it's changed your life with somebody today that would change the world.
Thank y'all so much.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Bye for